In this demonstration of Capture Pro software, we're going to be showing some general scanning capabilities, some post-scan editing capabilities, as well as a tour of the main screen and user interface. Capture Pro software is a batch scanning application, which is meant to capture images as well as index data from scanned images, whether you're scanning with a Kodak scanner or a non-Kodak scanner, and then to pass those images and index data onto a downstream document management system, a content management system, or perhaps the file system for a customer's application. When you launch Capture Pro software, you're presented with this initial screen called the Batch Manager. And if you want to start scanning into a new batch, click on the New button, and you'll have a choice of which job to scan into. One of the features of Capture Pro software is that it comes with out-of-the-box jobs and setups to make it very easy to get started scanning in a very easy and quick manner after installation. Capture Pro software comes with 3 jobs right out of the box. One is called Ready to Scan. There's a scan to PDF as well as a scan to email. For the purposes of this demonstration, we'll be using the Ready to Scan job. Click on the OK button to create a new batch for that job. The main screen of Capture Pro software consists of 3 major components. There's the Batch Explorer down the left-hand side of the screen. There's the main image viewer, and then there's a thumbnail viewer. The main image viewer will show the currently scanned images in kind of a larger format. The thumbnail viewer allows you to see all of the images of the batch but in smaller windows, and you can very quickly navigate to images by using the thumbnail viewer. And then Batch Explorer will show the structure of the batch as far as how many documents are in the batch and how many images are in each document, etc. So to get started, we will scan a sample batch. I'm going to be scanning everything in black and white. Depending on your attached scanner, you can scan in color and grayscale and simultaneous color and black and white, etc. So I'm going to scan everything in black and white. One of the hallmarks of Capture Pro software is that it displays every scanned image on the fly during scanning. So the scanner operators can visualize if there's any scanning problems, if maybe the scanner needs to be cleaned, or maybe the batch, when it was loaded into the scanner feeder, wasn't prepared properly and there's documents that are way out of skew or maybe have some folded corners, etc. So again, as you can see here, we have the thumbnail viewer, which shows all of the images of the batch. In this case, we have 18 images that were scanned. You have the main image viewer, which shows kind of a snapshot of the batch, but in a larger image windows. And then the Batch Explorer, which shows the structure of the batch. Now I'm going to use this scroll bar, click on the scroll bar to navigate back up to the start of this batch. I'm also, just for the purposes of the demonstration, I'm going to temporarily shut down the thumbnail viewer. So I'm going to click on this little X here and close the thumbnail viewer. To demonstrate some of the post-scan editing capabilities, I purposely scanned this batch with some common problems that you might find in the document preparation and scanning. First one here, you'll notice that we have a page that's been scanned upside down. And in Capture Pro software, we have some very powerful post-scan editing tools to correct some of these common scanning problems. First thing I'm going to do is to select what I call a selector mode. In Capture Pro software, I can select individual images. So when I'm on the selector tool, I can select images, or one or more images that need to be acted upon. Or I can change my selector tool to say, when I click on an image, select the entire page, all of the images for that page. And that's very useful, especially if you know a page has been scanned upside down. Why should I have to select on 2 images when I can automatically select all the images for that page? So I'm going to change my selector mode option to the page option. And then I'm going to click on the page that needs to be rotated. You can see it automatically selected both pages that need to be rotated. And then I just click on the rotation tool, the Rotate 180 tool, to perform that rotate. So you can see it's very easy to correct these common scanning problems. Another thing you'll notice here is we have some pages out of order here, right? So all I need to do is I can just click on this page and then move it, hold the mouse, and just drag it to its new location. And it will automatically move that page and sort it out properly. Now, another thing I could have done is you can see the Batch Explorer, as I select images, the Batch Explorer will also highlight those images. So if I wanted to move a page, I could have also selected that image from the Batch Explorer and then use the drag and drop with the mouse to drag that image in the Batch Explorer to a new location as well. So I can either do it right in the main image viewer or I can use the Batch Explorer. So I'm going to move this back to its proper location. Now I'm going to navigate down through the batch and we'll see that we have another problem here where there's a page missing out of the batch. Pages 13 and 14 are actually missing. So I'm going to put this page back in my scanner feeder. I actually found this page. It accidentally fell on the floor. I'm going to put that page in my feeder, and I'm going to click on the insertion point in the batch where I want to insert these images, and then I'm going to click on the Insert Pages tool and click on that icon. It will automatically start the scanner and insert that page in the appropriate spot. So again, a very productive and useful post-scan editing tool in Capture Pro software. If I navigate down to the end of the batch, now again, as far as navigation goes, I can either click on the mouse in the scroll bar and navigate to the end of a batch, or I can use hotkeys on my keypad to do navigation as well. For instance, if I wanted to just scroll up one page worth of images, I can hit the page up button on my keypad and scroll up, or I can hit page down on my keypad. Or on the keypad, there's also a home key and an end key. The home key will take me to the start of my batch, and the end key will take me to the end of my batch. So here I have a page that needs to be rescanned because I have a folded corner, and I'm actually losing some image content. I'm going to fix the folded corner, put that page back in the scanner feeder, select the page, and then click on the Rescan Pages tool to rescan that page and replace the images that needed to be rescanned. So again, as you can see, we have very efficient post-scan editing tools, which, again, part of the hallmark of Capture Pro software is not only does it drive Kodak scanners very well, and Kodak scanners are the very productive scanners, but the software is complementary because it has a lot of these productive tools from a post-scan editing standpoint to fix common scanning errors. And these tools are not only available with Kodak scanners, but also non-Kodak scanners as well. Now that you've seen some general scanning and some basic post-scan editing capabilities, let's go back and kind of give you a tour of the main screen of Capture Pro software. We've already showed you the Batch Explorer, the image viewer, and the thumbnail viewer, which has now been hidden here. But the main screen also contains a lot of toolbars and menu options as well. Some of the more common tools that you may want to use is the magnifying glass tool. If I click on the magnifying glass tool and I left click on an image and hold, it'll magnify the image and show you certain content of that image. And that can be very useful when you're doing post-scan editing or on the fly during scanning quality assurance to make sure that the image quality is what you expect. Because sometimes, depending on how many images you have displayed, you might not be able to really tell that by just looking at the image. I can also, however, change the number of images that are displayed. Over here on my toolbar, I have the image viewer display options, and if I click on this little down arrow, I can show one image at a time, or I could show two images at a time. I could show 4 images at a time, or I could go back to 8 images at a time. And I can even customize that if I wanted to show more than that. So let's say that I, instead of 4 by 2, I really wanted to show maybe 6 by 6, let's say, right? So I can actually go up to as high as 6 by 6 and show 36 images at a time, as an example. Or I can go back to the 8 images at a time. Not only could I have selected this from the icons here, but I can also go to the menus and select things as well. So I can go to the View menu, for example, go to Image Viewer Display, and select the exact same options. Now you'll notice next to the option there is a hotkey indicator. And this is very useful and makes Capture Pro software very productive in the fact that I don't have to use the mouse to change items or select things or whatever. I can choose these hotkeys to do certain things. A lot of scanning applications or software applications, the hotkeys are either special function keys, or maybe that's like a shift and then a key, or an alt or a control. Many of the hotkeys in Capture Pro software are simply one stroke shortcuts, one key shortcuts to make it more productive and effective. So in the case of showing my image display, I can just type in the 1 key or the 2 key or the 4 key or the 8 key, and that can allow me to change my image viewer display. So now I'm just going to click on the 1 key, the 2 key, the 4 key, and the 8 key to be able to change the image viewer. If I had a different tool selected, now I have the selector tool selected. If I wanted to change to the magnifying glass tool, I could have gone to the toolbar menu or the tools menu and click the magnify option, or as you can see there's a hotkey M. So if I wanted to just quickly switch to the magnifying glass, I could have just hit the M key and then use that to zoom in on my image. So every function that you can perform on the main screen has an equivalent hotkey that can be used. Some other popular hotkeys are the ability to zoom in and out. When you're doing on-the-fly during scanning quality assurance, this might not give you, this particular view now might not give you exactly what you're looking for to be able to check the image quality. So one thing that you can do is you can zoom in on images. So I can zoom in. And maybe when you display images zoomed in like this on the fly during scanning, that can give you a better feel for the overall image quality. Likewise, I can zoom out. Now notice that there's a plus and minus here, and there's actually a keyboard shortcut for these. On the keypad, you can hit the plus or minus key to quickly zoom out, all the way out as an example, or I can click on the plus key and hold it and zoom all the way in. Those are some keyboard shortcuts or hotkeys, plus and minus key, to be able to zoom in and out. So I'm going to go back to 4 images at a time, and I just want to go back to the view where I see the entire image in an image window. I can go to the View menu, go to the Zoom menu item, and I can say Fit Images to Window, which is the F hotkey or keyboard shortcut. Or Actual Size is the A key. Actual Size will zoom it in at like 100%. Some other keyboard shortcuts is I can just hit the F key to go to show the entire image in the image display. And if I'm scanning different size images, whether there's checks and then 8.5 by 11s and large format type drawings or whatever that I can scan with like Kodak scanners, it'll show the entire image. It'll zoom it in or zoom it out so it shows the entire image. Or I can just hit the A key and that'll zoom it in at 100%, very high, and then go back to the F key to show the fit images to window. As far as navigating through a batch to check it for like quality assurance or just to inspect a particular image or page, I can click on this scroll bar here and navigate up through the batch or through a document in a batch. The keyboard shortcut is just the page up and page down key. And I talked earlier about the home key to take you to the beginning of a document, the end key to take you to the end of a document. I can also click on the image right in the Batch Explorer, and that will automatically navigate to that particular page. So if I change my view to 2 up, let's say, and I want to go to the second page of the document, I can just click in the Batch Explorer on the second page, and it takes me to that page. The other thing I can do is I can also navigate using the thumbnail viewer. So if I go back to the View menu, and I enable the thumbnail viewer, by just highlighting it, you can see it's unchecked now, so it's disabled, but by clicking on it again, it'll enable it. So the thumbnail viewer, I can also navigate to a particular page. So if I'm interested in the 10th image or whatever, I can just click on that. Notice in the thumbnail viewer, the title bar indicates what document that the image is for, and then what image in that document. So 1, 10 would take me to the 10th image in that document. Notice that the icon, when I'm in the thumbnail viewer, has automatically changes to the magnifying glass. So let's say that I have the selector tool in the main image viewer. As soon as I move my mouse into the thumbnail viewer, the icon changes to the magnifying glass. This means that if I left click and hold on any image in the thumbnail viewer, it will zoom in and magnify that image. And that could be the indicator that I'm really interested in seeing that page larger in my image viewer. That's the page I want to actually navigate to. So again, if I click on the first image of the document, it'll navigate the image viewer to that image. If we click on the File menu, you can see there are many options for each of the menus. I can go into things like Job Setup and Page Setup. In the Batch menu, there are options, the View menu, Capture menu to start and stop the scanner, as well as the associated shortcuts. In this case, there's function keys to start the scanner and stop the scanner. There's a Document menu, the Edit menu, Tools menu, Index menu, and then there's a Help menu. Kodak Capture Pro Online will automatically launch Internet Explorer and take you to our home page for Capture Pro software on the public website. The main screen has menu options. We already talked about a lot of the keyboard shortcuts. There's also this toolbar area here. I can customize the main image viewer by electing to enable more toolbars or disable certain toolbars. So for instance, if I didn't want to show the capture toolbar, I can right-click anywhere in the toolbar area, and it gives me a list of all of the toolbars that I can enable or disable. So if for some reason I didn't want to show the capture toolbar, I can just click on that item again, and that toolbar goes away from the main image display. This is the flag toolbar. If I didn't want to show the flag toolbar, I could also disable that. So I can make it as simple to use as far as how many icons and tools that are available to the end user, or I can make it as feature-rich as I want it to. The important thing to note is that the layout of the screen and the toolbars that are shown, and whether I'm showing the thumbnail viewer, the Batch Explorer, or how many images I have displayed, the layout of the screen automatically gets saved for that job. So the next time I open up a batch in the Ready to Scan job, this is the way my screen layout is going to look. We also save the screen layout at the user level. So if I have user A is opening up and creating batches in the Ready to Scan job, they may decide that they want to see the images ate up, and they might want to have different toolbars shown. So when they create a batch in the Ready to Scan job, they'll see the image display, the main screen layout, the way they left it. If user B logs on, they may have a different layout. So again, we automatically save the main screen layout at the job level and then the user level. And that's a nice feature of Capture Pro software. So not only can I enable or disable toolbars, so I'm going to go back and enable the Capture toolbar again, but I can also move toolbars around if I wanted to. So let's say that I really want all of the kind of post-scan editing things to be down the right-hand side of the screen. If I move my cursor in between each toolbar, there's like a little dashed line, which is the indicator that this is the start of a new toolbar. You'll notice the cursor changes to a little hand icon. If I left-click on that edge of the toolbar and hold it, I can drag that toolbar to a new location. So I could, if I wanted to, leave the toolbar right here in the middle of the screen. If I move it to the side, it'll automatically realize that this should be, vertical instead of horizontal, and it'll, you can see here, make it a vertical toolbar. So I can take the rescan and insert icons that we showed earlier and move that down over here if I wanted to. Let's say that I wanted this capture toolbar to be right on this one line, all right? So now I have a little less real estate being taken up by toolbars. I only have one line of toolbars at the top, and I have some tools down here on my right-hand side. That's some nice capabilities. As far as the toolbars themselves, you'll notice that when I move my mouse over a particular tool, a tooltip is displayed. In this case, the little racing flag icon is the output batch. As you can see, it shows that it's the output batch tool. I can change that by going to the View menu, and if I go to icon text, I can indicate that I want the tooltip to actually show as part of the icon of the tool itself. So if I click on Label below here, you'll see that all of the tools now, all of the icons, have the tooltip embedded right in the icon itself. So that might be something you might be interested in having for your end users. So they'll know that this is the image viewer display icon, or this is zoom in and zoom out, etc. And I can change that back if I wanted to. I can also change the size of the icons, maybe to make them a little easier to select, especially if you have a touchscreen display, for instance. So I can make the icons bigger, and you'll see that the icons for the tools are now enlarged. So I'll go ahead and change that back to what I had before. So those are some things in the main display. The other thing I can do is not only can I kind of move the toolbars around, but I could also move the windows around as well. So if I don't want to show the thumbnail viewer, I can just close the thumbnail viewer by clicking on the little X in the right-hand corner. And now I only have the Batch Explorer and the Image Viewer. Well, let's say that I want my Image Viewer to be on the left and I want the Batch Explorer to be on the right. On the title bar of the window, if I left click and hold it, I can then drag it to a new location on the screen. So I'm going to move the Batch Explorer now over to the right-hand side. I can just click on the title bar, hold it, and then move it, and now the whole Batch Explorer window will get moved to the other side of the screen. So these are some of the capabilities you have with the layout of the screen to make it as productive as possible for the end user. And different layouts, you might have different layouts for different jobs. So if I'm scanning single-page health claim forms, I might only want to have one image displayed at a time, and I don't need the Batch Explorer, I don't need the thumbnail viewer. But if I'm scanning mortgage applications that have 200 pages in a particular mortgage app, then I may want to have a completely different layout. Some nice image viewing and main screen capabilities of Capture Pro software here. Now, if I get to a point where I just messed up, I was playing around and I want to get back to a nice starting point, I can go to the View menu here, and there's a layout option at the bottom of the View menu, and I can go to the Classic mode, will look like our legacy Capture software product, or the Enhanced mode, which is the mode that I started in when I started this demonstration. So I'm going to go back to the Enhanced layout, and it takes me back to my nice view where I've got the Batch Explorer, the thumbnail viewer, and the main image viewer. A couple more things to show you on our main screen tour are these tabs over here called the Indexing tab and the Information tab. As I scroll over a particular tab, you can see that the indexing pane will show up here. This can show you index data if you've defined that for a job. So when you're scanning or you're navigating between documents, you can show the index data that may have been set up for that particular job. If I want to show the index data all the time, I can click on the little pin icon, and if I click on that, it'll actually make the indexing window stay on the screen. So instead of being in auto hide mode, it'll be in permanent mode for the main image viewer. Likewise, I can click on the icon again, and I can actually auto hide that so it goes back as a tab on the left-hand side of the screen. I could actually do that, for instance, for the image viewer. So if I wanted to auto hide the image viewer, which I don't know why you'd want to do that, because you want to show all the images on the fly during scanning, but I could actually have the image viewer be a tab. All right, as you can see now, all I see is the thumbnail viewer, much more enlarged, all the thumbnails in my batch. And then if I wanted to see the images, I would just move my mouse over the image viewer tab, and now the images for the image viewer will be displayed. And if I want to make that permanent again, I can click on the little pin icon and make that permanent. The other window that's useful is the information window. So if I go over the information window, and I'm going to make this permanent now, I can see information about the entire batch. So when I click on the little plus icon here, I can get lots of statistical information about that batch. Now I can enlarge a window by moving over until I get the little crosshairs here with the arrows, and I can left click and drag that to kind of make that a little bit larger if I wanted to. So you can see here, if I expand all of these views here, all of these statistical categories, I can get a very nice snapshot of everything about this batch. The batch name, when the batch was created, who created it, what user created it, how many images are in my batch, how many documents are in my batch, how many pages are in my batch, etc. If I highlight a particular image, or if I select a particular image, I can get not only batch information, but I can get information specific to the document. Information about the page as well as information about this image. So what is the width of the image? What is the height of the image? What resolution was this image scanned on? Is the image black and white? What's the compression of the image, etc. To complete this demonstration and tour of the main screen, you have other information. You can look at the index data that may have been established for that particular job, as well as more detailed information about the batch or the document or the images that make up that batch. And this completes this demonstration.